Rocket League is a game full of complicated terminology, advanced mechanics, and a lot of distractions that make it really hard to know what will actually help you rank up. Players at every rank just want simple things that they can do to get better and have a much more fun time playing this game, and that's what I'm here to do. I've gathered the 25 best tips that every Rocket League player should know to have a much easier time ranking up and playing this game. Before we begin though, make sure to like, subscribe, and join the Discord if you haven't already because it really helps me out. But yeah, let's get into the tips. Now, tip number 1 is to learn the basic mechanics first. Getting all the basic mechanics down before learning any of the advanced or so-called freestyle mechanics will give you a huge boost in your improvement. Basic mechanics such as the half flip, wave dash, and fast aerial are mechanics that you will be using constantly in-game. There are so many scenarios in-game where you'll have to use one of these 3 mechanics in order to stay in the play. Learning these mechanics as fast as possible will also allow you to have the best chance to win your games, because they are by far the most useful mechanics you can learn, and you can check out my guide on when to learn each mechanic for more info. Tip number 2 is don't type in chat. Okay, you see this area right here? This is the danger zone. Avoid this zone at all costs. Typing in chat or even using quick chat is the quickest and easiest way to completely ruin any chances you had of winning the game you're playing. I don't know why, but even saying nice shot after your teammate scores could cause them to tilt and AFK. It literally doesn't make sense. By far the best decision you can make in your Rocket League career is to simply not talk in chat at all. Responding to someone being toxic in chat will only make you and the other person more tilted. Tip number 3 is know when to stop playing. This kind of ties into the chat feature because the chat feature usually accelerates the tilting process, but in order to win more games, you have to know when to stop playing. This is usually around the time you've lost a few games in a row, maybe you just aren't playing as well as you usually do, or maybe you've just gotten really unlucky with the teammates you've been given, and you just want to grind it out so badly because you want to win out of spite. This is a terrible decision that causes you to derank so much faster. The biggest loss streaks I have ever been on have come from me just refusing to stop playing because I was so tilted, so I ended up losing like 200 MMR in one day. If you're feeling tilted, stop queuing and take a break for a few minutes. Maybe even touch grass. I've heard that's pretty cool. You'll play the best when you're calm and cool-headed, so make sure to play the most during this time. Now, tip number 4 is to turn off unlimited boost in free play. A lot of players don't realize you can actually find even more improvement in the free play feature by turning off unlimited boost. This allows you to learn boost pad positioning and figure out how to path to the ball in a way that allows you to retain the most boost possible when attacking. The unlimited boost feature, while still very useful in improving your general skills in-game, handicaps you because it isn't exactly realistic to in-game scenarios. Practicing dribbling, shooting, aerials, and any other game mechanic without unlimited boost helps you so much to learn how to conserve your boost in-game. Turning off this setting means you'll be training much more realistically to what you will experience in-game, making your improvement that much more efficient and your training so much more effective. Tip number 5 is to use free play more often than training packs. Free play is the absolute god tier training tool, and you should be using this the most out of any training tool in Rocket League. A lot of players might think that training packs are actually the best tool because they train scenarios that you will often see in-game, which is true, but there's a big caveat to training packs that free play just doesn't have. Training packs only allow you to train that one specific scenario in that one shot, which means that you can become good at that specific shot in that one scenario, but only that specific shot in that specific scenario. Basically, if you use training packs, you can be very good at this one corner read off the wall that may happen like one time ever in game. Free play, on the other hand, allows you to train any mechanic at real game speed with infinite variation. Now, tip number 6 is to not cheat on training packs. Now, the reason training packs don't work for a lot of people is also because players just don't use them correctly. Loading into a training pack and resetting a shot over and over again to get that absolute perfect contact on the ball just isn't realistic to the actual game at all. After a certain point of resetting the shot, you're not predicting where the ball is going to go because you've already memorized it and are instead going to go where you know where the ball is going to land. A better way to use training packs is to try going through each training pack with as little resets as possible. It is okay if you don't score the shot, because you can try again with the next shot. This allows you to better train predictions and reading the ball while still practicing specific scenarios that you will see in-game. Tip number 7 is that power comes from the nose. If you're going to be shooting the ball or clearing it out of your half, you're going to want to use the most powerful parts of your car when doing so. The nose and corners on your car generate the most power when making contact with the ball. Making sure to always position your car so that this area makes contact with the ball will give you a lot more power behind your shots, and make sure you avoid hitting those P-rollers towards your opponents. Tip 8 is train shooting. By far the best mechanic that you can train to improve your gameplay as a whole is shooting. This is because when you train shooting, you're training car control, aerials, ball reads, and so many other mechanics at the same time. Being able to get power and accuracy behind the ball consistently is one of the most important skills a player must have in order to be successful in this game. Tip number 9 is to change up your training routine often. A lot of players tend to get stuck in the same sort of training routine that they've been doing since they first started playing this game. A really easy way to change up Rocket League and get a fresh feel for the game is to try different training routines to sharpen up your weaker mechanics or mechanics you don't really train too often. There are a ton of videos on different training routines that you can do, and you can even check out my car control training routine if you want. I think it's pretty good. Now, tip number 10 is to play 1v1. Look, now I know when I say to play 1v1s, a lot of players will immediately cringe and want to skip past this part because they think they don't need 1v1s to get better at Rocket League, but I'm here to tell you, you kinda do. Playing 1v1s reveals a lot of mistakes that you make in your own gameplay, which is why so many players hate playing it. In this game mode, you have no one to blame but yourself, which is really helpful but also really triggering. However, it's still super important to play games in the 1v1 game mode because this is where you will see the most improvement by far in your shooting abilities, dribbling, and overall decision making abilities. Tip number 11 is to pick up the small boost pads. A big part of Rocket League is simply allowing yourself to stay in the play for as long as possible, and the best way to do that is to manage your boost usage by picking up small boost pads. A lot of players make the mistake of rushing to grab the 100 boost pad when their tank is down to like 50 boost, which is really inefficient and takes you out of the play. This reduces pressure on the other team and can leave you out of position and potentially getting scored on. As you're playing, try to pick up as many small boost pads as possible and only pick up the 100 boost pad when you feel it's absolutely necessary or there's no real threat to you missing an opportunity to score or you getting scored on. This will allow you to stay in the play for much longer and be in the right position to capitalize on any opportunity. Tip number 12 is to not boost when you're going supersonic. So many players make the mistake of wasting their boost thinking they can go faster than the maximum speed your car can travel at. Holding down boost doesn't mean you're gonna go into hyperdrive, it just means you're bad at the game. You will know when your car is going the maximum speed possible when you see these little trails behind the wheels of your car and when you get that sonic boom with the speed lines. And it's at this point that you want to stop boosting. Using boost while you're going max speed is only gonna waste boost because you cannot go any faster. Oh, also, bonus tip is that you can only demo someone when you're going max speed, like when you have the trails behind you or when you see the sonic boom. So make sure you're going max speed when being in menace mode. Tip number 13 is to use the circle underneath the ball. Now, a really easy way to get down dribbling is to focus on the circle underneath the ball. The circle allows you to get a better view of the ball's positioning on your car, which helps you get way more control while you're dribbling. Simply focusing on the circle and making sure it's positioned around the center of your car will instantly improve your dribbling abilities and allow you to keep the ball on top of your car for so much longer. Tip number 14 is to know when to use ball cam and car cam. A lot of players don't really understand exactly when to use ball cam and car cam and end up using one or the other for far too long. A lot of new players tend to use car cam more often than they should because it feels a lot easier to control your car based on where your car is facing rather than where the ball is. But you want to break that habit as fast as possible. For the majority of the game, you want to stay on ball cam. This allows you to focus on the most important aspect of the game, which is where the ball is currently positioned. You only want to switch to car cam in specific situations, such as dribbling, which allows you to get more control on the ball and better focus on the circle underneath the ball, figuring out which boost pad you want to grab, and scouting positions of other players on the field. Other than that, you should be staying on ball cam for the majority of the game. Tip number 15 is to use your flips wisely. Your flips are what commit you to an action. For example, if you are unsure whether or not to push up the field to attack the ball, it would be a really terrible decision to flip towards the play, because this means you are now unable to change direction for the entire duration of the flip, which is a really long time in Rocket League. If the play happens to turn out unfavorably and you've already flipped, you now have way less time to recover and get back to the play. Try to only use your flips when you absolutely have to, and otherwise, just use boost and power slide turns. Tip number 16 is to choose the best car for you. So many players in Rocket League don't pay enough attention to the vessel of their gameplay, their car. Choosing the best car for you is such a huge decision that doesn't really get focused on enough. You want to try to find a car that suits your gameplay style and allows you to be the best possible player within that hitbox. I made a video on how to choose the best car for you a while ago if you want further explanation, but make sure to test the waters on other hitboxes to see if you like them better than your current car. It may make a huge difference in your gameplay. Now, tip number 17 is to choose the best settings for you. If you are still using default settings or some straight up goofy settings in 2022, I'm sorry, but you're just trolling your life. You need to make sure that the settings you're using allow you to have the best perspective and control on the game around you. This means finding the settings of a pro or content creator that you enjoy and feel comfortable viewing, and tweaking those according to your own gameplay to find out what works best for you. You want to make sure that you are using the best possible camera settings, controller settings, and keybinds, because they all play a huge factor in how well you do in-game. If you want my settings, you can check out my guide on my personal favorites. Tip number 18 is to do fun stuff. Look, Rocket League gets boring as I'm not gonna lie. In order to stop you from getting bored, you're just gonna have to switch it up. This means not always doing the most tryhard, super competitive, ultra sigma grind set activities in Rocket League. There are plenty of other fun things to do in Rocket League to keep the game fresh and make you want to keep playing. I personally really like learning to freestyle and trying out random mechanics in game, and I also love getting a group of my friends together and completely trolling our games. Rocket League is really what you make of it, and doing the fun trolly stuff keeps you from wanting to assault your computer after playing Rocket League for too long. Tip number 19 is to group your training time together. Many players think that training for even a little bit every single day is better than a couple long training sessions every week, which is not true. If you're only training for a short period of time, you're just going to be warming up for the entire duration of your training session. Grouping your training time together allows you to better focus on improving specific aspects of your gameplay and allows you to get into the flow state where you can actually see improvement. Through extended periods of training, you will be able to focus on your training much better. Tip number 20 is ball over boost. Okay, now logically, what is more important? The 100 boost pad or saving the ball from going into your net? Platinum players would probably say the 100 boost pad. Look, a lot of players tend to over-prioritize boost in Rocket League, leading to them getting scored on more often than not. Pretty much every single shot in Rocket League can be saved with 20 boost, and a lot of players underestimate what they can do with limited boost. Staying in the play for as long as possible is essential to keeping pressure on your opponents and giving yourself a lot more opportunities to score. Try to prioritize staying in the play rather than leaving the ball to get boost. Tip number 21 is to blame yourself for your losses. Blaming other players for when you lose your games is the easiest way to completely avoid any chance at improvement. It accomplishes absolutely nothing when you say the reason you're in the rank you're in is because of your teammates. Do you think an RLCS pro is gonna lose a platinum game because their teammate is bad? No, so obviously you're the problem. When you stop blaming others for your losses, it allows you to focus on what you're doing wrong. This is how you improve. You need to be able to self-reflect and fix the mistakes you're consistently making in-game in order to get better and rank up. And the first step is to stop blaming your teammates when you are just as bad. Tip number 22 is to use Power Slide more often. Most likely, you are just simply not using Power Slide enough. Knowing how to use Power Slide correctly makes a huge difference, and it is easily the most overlooked aspect of gameplay. Lower ranked players tend to use Power Slide less often than they should, and when they do Power Slide, they Power Slide for longer than they should. Higher ranked players are constantly tapping Power Slide to get way more precision and sharper turns in their gameplay. So focusing on using Power Slide as often as you can in your recoveries and general gameplay is an easy way to get a lot faster and a lot more efficient. Tip number 23 is to bump more often. At some point in your life, you start to realize that maybe there isn't a fine line between good and evil in the world. Maybe that line is simply winners and losers. And if you want to be a winner, you need to bump more often. Bumping is one of the most overlooked ways to win in Rocket League, and quite frankly, it's one of the most fun ways. Bumping and demoing are the only ways to completely remove your opponent from the play, which is super overpowered and really underutilized. Bumping allows you to free up space on the field and create gaps in the play, which gives your team a way bigger chance to score. It also means your opponents are more likely to forfeit, which is kind of a win-win if you ask me. Now, tip number 24 is to watch better players. In order to know what you need to do to get better, you have to first see what better players are doing. A great way to improve is to watch high-skilled players in their games. You can see their decision-making processes and the mechanics they most often use in their gameplay and at what points they use them. This is super useful to almost all players because there's something that can be learned from watching higher skilled players for every single rank. It's also really motivating to see the crazy stuff that can be done in this game. Now, the final tip number 25, is to try not to get attached to your rank. I know that for a lot of people, their rank means everything to them. If they rank up or rank down, that is the difference between them having a good day and them having a terrible day. So many people make the mistake of tying their rank to their self-worth. They feel like if they rank down, they are a worse person overall, and they feel like they're losing something that they used to have before. I know it's a mistake because I do it too. Trust me, your rank is insignificant in the grand scheme of you getting better at this game. I propose to you an example. Say you decide to learn the fast kickoff and use it in your games. At first, you will be really trash at the kickoff and you probably lose more often than not, so your rank goes down. However, you didn't get worse, you're simply learning a new mechanic in order to get so much better at the game. After you successfully learn the fast kickoff, you finally rise up past your original rank. You see what I mean? If you let your rank determine your self-worth, you'll be holding yourself back from improvement. You'll be too scared to learn new mechanics because your rank might go down from blue to less blue. That is just silly, and it's stopping you from ranking up that much faster. Now, I hope you enjoyed the tips I've given you in this video. I hope they help you out, and I hope you rank up from them. Actually, there is a 26th tip that I was gonna tell you, and now that you've stayed to the end, I will tell you. Basically, tip number 26 is